Hello and welcome to another episode of Dawncast. I'm Di Lee.
And I'm Kathy Ngo.
Thanks for joining us today. And we've got a wonderful guest from London joining us for our Dawncast conversation. And we'd like to welcome Valerie Won Lee, founder of the World Citizen Artists, which she launched in 2014. Hello, Valerie.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi.
How is
Thank
London?
you for having me here.
You're welcome. How's London going?
I'm actually not based in London. Our organization is. I know London is a little bit more tense, but they're starting to ease the lockdown slowly. So from Wednesday, people will be able to start meeting up with 2 meters distance. So it should be interesting. But we're in the countryside, so the countryside is quite relaxed.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you're UK, but you're not in the centre of London. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And in the countryside, you don't have as many restrictions. It's because there's less people, so it's easier to go for a walk, and so for us, it's been okay.
So you've been okay with being isolated?
On the personal level, I would say yes, because I was isolated before the lockdown anyway. I'm a little bit of a workaholic. So I was already working all the time at home. So for me, it didn't feel like a huge difference, apart from when you start reading the news, then you realize there's something going on.
Mm. What's your work at the moment is around this award which you founded in 2014, which is World Citizen Artists. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. Well, World Citizen Artists started as a community initially, and it was supposed to just feature artists, but then we realized we had a lot of talents, emerging talents and well-known talents as well, in visual arts and music. So we started about 3 months after we launched in 2014. We started to run awards and competitions. So this competition, we were not actually supposed to be back yet. I was still working on the plan of what World Citizen Artist was going to become in the future. And COVID-19 started, so we had artists asking, are you going to do something about it? So we've decided to do something about it. So we've launched a new awards initiative, which is a competition which will end the submissions will end on 31st of May. So you can find more information on worldcitizenartist.org. And the purpose is for artists to get some visibility, for families and individuals who are not artists to be able to participate. We're trying to give a purpose to everyone to promote solidarity through arts and music. So it's a good challenge, because the way we judge the work, compared to many competitions, it's not just on the quality, it's also on the power of the message. So we could have work with great quality, but if the message on solidarity is not strong enough, it may not go through, or we may have the other way around, a strong solidarity message, but we may not have the quality of work. So it's a very good challenge for everyone to take, and it gives the opportunity for everyone to win as well.
What motivated you to find World Citizen Arts? Like, what was that moment in time where you're like, oh, I'm going to start this movement?
Initially, I was an artist. I traveled for about 15 years. So my hobby was to create art. And I also did a lot of humanitarian work. I worked in the garbage dump in Guatemala to help with education. I did some volunteer work in Indonesia as well. And I got involved in several, like also bigger organizations. And when I met my partner, with whom I've been almost 10 years now, he invited me to go and live with him in Paris. And I didn't really know what to do with my life at the time. And he said, well, you're an artist, just go to galleries, just go and do something. And so I tried to mix with the artist circles, but I didn't really find my place because everyone was just like trying to sell their art. This kind of solidarity art and art on humanitarian issues existed, but people were living all far away from each other. And there were not any groups on Facebook or Twitter or on social media. It was very hard to find groups where you could get both like humanitarian issues and arts. So I thought, okay, if a reality doesn't exist, then you just have to create it. So I started with a Facebook group. Within 3 months, it got 10,000 people, which was huge at the time because in 2014, social media was big, but not as big as it is now. And I started a website as well. And we started to partner with Playing for Change, Belgravia Gallery, some very well-known brands and organizations who were mixing arts and humanitarian issues, and that's how the competition started.
So for you, it's about combining arts with humanitarian and social issues. Is that what you're passionate about, and that's what drove you to form World Citizen Artists?
It's about the message. We're looking for the next John Lennon, the next Bob Dylan, the people who will have
Are you
something
close?
to say.
Are you close to that?
Sorry?
Are you close to that, looking for that next John Lennon, or who was the
Yeah,
other person?
well, I could say some artists actually will probably be able to make it. It's hard work to get there. I couldn't get there myself. I'm an artist, but I know I'm not in that league. But I can see a lot of artists, and with what's going on at the moment, the creativity is exploding. It's amazing the kind of art you can see these days. So I think there are. I don't think they're the most promoted people these days. There's a lot of celebrities who are being promoted and for donating or for singing a song that already exists, like, for example, the Redemption song of Bob Marley. But in terms of including very strong messages in their songs or art, I would say there's still a lot of work to do. So in the emerging world, I can see some people will have a fair chance to make it, but it's about if they're given a chance to get on the right channels. So that's what I've tried to create. Obviously, I'm just like one citizen trying to build a community and to build that strength. We have a lot of followers now, but we're not at the level of the BBC or or any high level that can make them celebrities yet. But I'm working on it with a team of volunteers, and we're professionalizing as much as we can. And hopefully with time, we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's like over in the UK in terms of artists, but in Australia, I think in the last few days, recent times, due to COVID-19, I don't know if in the UK, your people who are working or unemployed as a result of COVID-19 gets a particular payment called job seeker and job keeper, as we term it here in Australia. And apparently the discussion has been that artists have suffered the most because they don't qualify for those kind of payment. Or
They're mostly self-employed, isn't
yeah,
it?
they're mostly self-employed. And so they can't really say, oh, my income has been reduced, and can prove it to the government. Is that what you're seeing as well in terms of the artists that are in the UK or maybe in other parts of the world?
Well, we work with artists all around the world. I know in the UK there are some grants, but it is true what you say, when you can't prove past income, it's very difficult to prove that if you get that income, you're going to be able to take the step forward. Well, for example, in my personal situation, I stopped working. I was working for an environmental organization just before. I had a business set, but I didn't have time to, because I was working for those organizations, I didn't have time to take care of it. I started to have my first clients signing up. So it's a business that is advising on social responsibility and personal branding. And then when COVID-19 came, so I stopped my job and think, okay, I'm going to only run my business now and my organization. So I stopped my job and signed up the clients, and COVID-19 arrived. So I was unemployed and I didn't start my business yet. So there are income coming from the government for people who have a business, but you have to prove with the taxes you have paid in the past. So all these hours worked, whether it was in the full-time job or whether it was on the business outside to start to find the first clients, just went out the window basically.
Wow. So this is
So
for your business,
yeah,
the what do you call it? The consulting business in terms of branding
yeah,
and social messages, social
yeah.
issues.
Yeah, so I did some consulting in France, but it's not proving in the UK because it wasn't a business in the UK. So I'm in that category that is at a kind of crossroad. So I can't complain. We have good quality of life. Everything is fine, and I'm not alone. But I can imagine for some people it's really tough because I don't know how it's possible to get over it, and also for musicians the very hard thing. So visual artists, it's difficult because they can't have exhibitions, and for musicians it's difficult because they can't go on stage anymore. So there is a real challenge. The good side of it, that some have said, so that these are the ones who are living with either a happy family or more comfortable life, um, they be more creative than in usual time, because when you isolate, you
Oh,
get all
create.
sorts of ideas.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 A lot of
But in terms
supermarkets. Yeah.
of exposure, it's they're totally aware they have to move online now for the next year or two.
What were you saying about the supermarket?
Oh, like a lot of supermarkets are promoting their artist packs at the moment.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because more and more people are at home now, or should be at home in Australia, and then so it's like, oh, a bit bored. Let's just start an art project. So I'm actually about to go get one from Aldi.
Yeah, and I actually know people who've actually started to paint. I don't know if they're painters, but they started to paint at home. So yeah.
I'm interested to
We had
know.
oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just about to say, like, how do you judge an art? Like, I know it's for music, it's easier to kind of listen to the song, the pitch, the melody, and everything. But for a piece of like painting, for example, like, how do you know the messaging that's come through it? Is it the artist that actually presents it? Like it's like they pitch their artwork? Like, how does it work? Because I know that like with paintings, it's very subjective, and yeah, I'm just interested to know how you would judge.
So with paintings and music, for the visual, for the quality, we bring professionals. So, for example, in the visual art, we have Belgravia Gallery, who is part of the jury. So they judge the quality. They're already exhibiting the work of Andy Warhol, Picasso, Mandela, Prince of Wales. So they're already established and professional in judging art. And then for the quality, the quality message, power of the message, we now take former finalists and award recipients to judge that part, because they've already made it that far with us. So we know in terms of message, they understand. And it's important to get people who are already touched by those humanitarian or social issues. So they know how to do the research. And I used to be in the jury. I've withdrawn myself because I'm becoming friend with a lot of artists now. So
You can't be
so it avoids
conflict
of interest. And it makes my life more fun as well, because it would be a pain to have all these artists and not be able to communicate with them. So I had to withdraw myself from the jury, so I don't take part. But we have a system, a point system, which is on the power of the message. So it's, for example, at the moment it's solidarity. So our point system will be, did the work, did the message represent solidarity? Did also artists submit their work, but they also submit the explanation why their work are related to solidarity.
Have you received many applications or many submissions yet to your World Citizen Artists Awards? And any from Australia?
We've received many rules requests, but what always happens in every competition is the first 2 weeks, it's very quiet. We just receive rules requests, and the last 2 weeks, then it's when everybody's bombarding us of submissions. So yes, at the moment we have close to 100 rules requests, but we can never tell, because sometimes it's just the last 2 days. We had competitions when the last 2 days we had an extra 1,000 or 2,000, and during the whole beginning it was like very quiet. So we'll only know really from next week. We'll start to evaluate. The pace has been faster than usual at the beginning, and now it's going slower than usual. So it's hard to tell. I think it's very dependent on the lockdown and what people can do. So we're not having the usual numbers, that's for sure.
Are you? Is in the UK, as you mentioned earlier, the restrictions is being kind of loosened. Is that right? So people are now able to move around a little bit more? Is that what you're finding?
They're going to be able to start meeting up with the social distance. But I think there will be, because we're talking about a manual of quite many pages, so I think there will still be a lot of restriction. And in a way, I hope, because we don't want the virus to go too quickly everywhere. So, but where we are, people are very wise. They keep their social distance already. But we'll see when everyone will be out at the same time. It'll be interesting.
You grew up in France, or you're now living in the UK, but that hasn't always been your home base, has it?
No.
Because you got a French, I can hear your French accent.
I'm a bit jealous of your accent.
I've grown up in France, and I started to travel at the age of 18, 19. And I traveled traveled and lived abroad for about 15 years, 16 maybe now, 17. Getting old.
We all are.
We all are. So I've lived in many different places. I've lived in Asia. I've lived in New Zealand. I've lived in Latin America a little bit as well, and other countries in Europe. And UK is my probably 6th year now in total.
So were you born in France?
I was born in South Korea.
Okay.
And I arrived in France at the age of 8 months old. So that's probably why I have a French accent.
Very strong French accent. That's right. And so for you, where the idea of art and being an artist, has that always been your background in terms of growing up in France? Is living the artist's way of life?
Yeah, how did that come about? Like,
Um,
were
Yeah.
your parents artists as well, or?
well, I actually was adopted, and a couple of years ago, I have met. I have heard of my birth family, and
Right.
I did find out that they are artists.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there might be some genetic genetic part, and I think I always had this. I always had this myself in the way I was, and at school I was always different, and I always loved drawing, and I played music by ear. I've always had this. I was just not aware because I grew up in quite the deep countryside of France, so not a place where there were many artists. There was no one really to tell me you might be an artist. But as when I went traveling, I think that's when I started to get those revelation. But I never took it seriously until I went to live in Paris and started to exhibit there, and then built the WCA. It was something I just enjoyed doing, and I did have people buying my art or getting interest. But I think it's often like that. You got people who sometimes try all and it doesn't happen, and sometimes you don't really try, and it's just in you. So I guess that's been in me all along, but I just realized quite late that was my area.
What was it like? I don't know if if you want to share, but meeting up with your biological family and
um,
discovering that you know, had shared similar, the passion of art. It's coming from them. What was that like?
it was quite interesting, but there is the language difference. So there's a lot of things that we were not able to exchange. But what was interesting is I have a half brother, for example, who learned to play piano by ear, exactly the same as me, and we never knew each other for 38 years or something like this. So
Wow.
that was pretty amazing to realize that yes, there are things that are definitely genetic.
And are you still connected? Do you stay in touch with them?
Yep.
Okay.
And this was only
Yeah.
recent, right? Did you say only a couple of years ago?
Only a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
You need to write a book if you haven't.
I've tried a few, but I'm not a very good writer. So if you know anyone who is a
Or
good
paint,
ghostwriter,
or paint that emotion and experience if you haven't.
Yeah, I know.
not enough hours in a day, unfortunately, but I probably will do at some point.
Yeah. So you're now obviously you're now asking for artists around the world and also hopefully in Australia to take
Yeah,
part
and
in the citizens.
also families, individuals. Um, I think there are some genius artists who discovered themselves at the age of 7 or 8 years old. So we're not excluding anyone. We might find a talent somewhere. And what I would say to your audience is, if you don't, even if you're not selected or you don't make it to the finalists, it doesn't matter, because it's doing art or trying is really therapeutic as well, particularly if you're feeling frustrated during the lockdown, or you may be surprised of what comes out of your creativity. You just take a and or something, just make some noise, or you can take a pen and paper. You might be surprised. There's a lot of people who are discovering themselves these days, having a that they never thought they had.
Okay. Well, look, thank you so much for that, Valerie. So for our audience who is tuning into this podcast, if you're do you have to be an artist, or can you be anybody who've got an artist idea, an art idea, a creative idea that's
Anyone?
setting
Yeah.
the message of solidarity to enter?
Yep. Anyone. The only thing is we accept visual arts, and in visual arts we accept painting, sculpture, and graphic design. We're not excluding films and photography, but we just don't have the capacity yet for the judging, so we can't accept it yet. And we accept all style of music. So we have someone who wrote to us a couple of days ago, who said her grandchild is 11 years old and has made a song about solidarity, and they would like to submit it, and it's totally fine for children, as long as we get the parental or legal guardian authorization, of course. But anyone can participate. Anyone can test their creativity and see how far they can get. And if they don't get selected, it's fine. We might still contact them in the future for something else, or feature them for another topic, God knows. So it's open to everyone.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Valerie. I know that you're so busy with organising this World Citizen Artists competition and awards. So to spare that time to speak with us and sharing with us in terms of your journey, really very grateful.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for the great hosting. It felt really good.
Good.
We'll meet someday in real life.
That's right.
Well, that would be nice. And I love Australia.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
I hope to have you over.
Definitely. That is definitely on the map of the places I would visit again.
Great. Well, that is from us at Dawncast. I'm Daily.
And I'm Kathy Ngo.
Please remember to subscribe to us so that we can bring you more content like this. Please click on the link below and
click on the bell as well to get notified.
That's right.
On awesome content like this.
That's right. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.